Okay, so welcome to Sancta's latest podcast. So today we're joined by local man Frank Devine. So welcome, Frank.
Thank you. Welcome. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for inviting me.
It's good to have you here.
To the excuse me, apart from the Vatican, the kind of the centre of Catholic life. I'm not saying Holy Family.
Well, that's the point. But that's why you're having you in, because, you know, we all come from that same kind of background of Moss End, Ireland, and that connection there. And there's so much you could talk about this place and about the history and about our roots.
There is. And do you know, honestly, God, one of the things that really upsets me, and it's probably, I'm 64 now, and it's upsetting me more and more all the time, is I think people are forgetting. The lack of knowledge about history is lamentable. The lack of knowledge about people's own family backgrounds is lamentable. And I think that all feeds into some of the kind of issues. But I'm not saying that there was any great time, that the 60s were great, or the 50s, or the 40s, or the 30s were great. They had their own issues that people had to deal with. But at the moment, I feel it breaks my heart that people don't know anything about where they come from, and they feel that they can jettison. I don't mean everybody, obviously. I don't mean any of us sitting in this room, but people don't value the rich cultural, religious and spiritual heritage that's been handed down to them by previous generations. Breaks my heart.
So you, I mean, just not getting too personal, you had a journey of faith. You've grown up a Catholic. You kind of left the faith a wee bit, maybe?
I did, it's a wee bit like, when you look at what's happened to me over a kind of, I very much brought up in the faith, very much brought up in a Catholic religious family. We did very much a Catholic cultural and spiritual dimension to it, as well as religious. When my mum would have said the rosary in the house, that type of background. Family's Irish, and both my mother and father's side for Clonau, County Tyrone. So when we would go to Ireland every year for holidays, we spent 7 weeks of just the best holidays in world history. Help my Uncle John Pat bring the hay in, and are hindering them, annoying them more than anything, but just amazing holidays. No running water, a wee well at the back of the house, just idyllic to say the least. So you're brought up in that background where Mass was the centre of your life. Going to Mass was everything, and not just with our family. I would say, and I think about this stuff all the time, no, the kind of Catholic population of Scotland, I think the kind of mass attendance figures in the late 60s were something in the region of maybe 65%. And Moss End, it was a hell of a lot higher than that. I could even, sitting here right now, I could tell you the three in my class at Holy Family who were coming from non-practising families, and they didn't go to Mass.
Yeah.
And you tend to find, even to this day, if you look at these same families, they've kind of drifted away for the faith altogether. But back to what I was saying about Ireland. So you were going to Ireland. So St Patrick's Church, Clonau, was the kind of centre of our life over there as well. Very much an Irish nationalist family as well. Very much Irish nationalist. Very much Catholic. Everybody was, all my mother, my uncles, all my family. Not all my immediate family were all members of the Pioneer Total Abstinence Association. I don't know if that's got something to do with me going in the opposite direction for a considerable period of my life. My mum, my dad took a drink, but nothing, moderate drinking. I don't think I ever seen him drunk, sort of thing, you know. So you're brought up in that background where the faith meant a lot to you. Not just, again, there was a particular political dispensation as well. If you're brought up in this area, the Labour Party was absolutely, I mean, I joined the Labour Party when I was 17, and the first Labour Party meetings I went to were in this building. I mean, like I said, Des Timmins, Harry McMahon, Harry McGuigan, great people. You know, and they were on the Labour. I always remember my first Labour Party meeting in the hall, the top hall, and I remember coming out at about 17 and going like that. These people are in the same political party. The arguments were on, but it was like a war. And that was maybe 1978 or something like that, 77 even. But coming back to talking about good men, when we see Moss End Parish, had some of the best men. When I think back about it, I could cry. Thinking about some of the men in this parish when I was a young laddie. I mean, when you got Moss End Chapel, 8, 10 and 12 packed. 8 o'clock, you was space to move about. 10 o'clock was the children's mass mobbed. 12 o'clock mobbed. And that was every single week. Almost everybody was. I would say in Moss End, maybe 85 to 90% of the Catholic population were going to mass at that time. I honestly, and people talk about even up to the day. If you look at the statistics for this area, we're probably in Motherwell Diocese maybe as high as anywhere in Ireland. Or you know, I know we're down to 25% or something like that, but that's
still pretty high considering, isn't it?
Quite high comparatively speaking, you know. But I'm jumped a wee bit there. But I was saying, with great men in this parish now. I remember. And I always think about this now, about how I get involved in charity work, right? Because I maybe for 25 years was totally obsessed about the self, and all I cared about was me, which probably led me into alcoholism and all that. I wasn't caring about other people's feelings or in that. But I keep saying to myself, since I kind of stopped drinking, you're working out how you ended up working in charity. Well, I'll explain that in a wee minute. But I look back and I remember when I was 7 and 8 and 9 and maybe a wee bit older than that, maybe 10 or 11 and 12, there was a great man in this parish called Frank McCann. Do you remember Frank McCann?
I do,
what a man Frank was. Frank started, I get involved with St Vincent de Paul at that age in the parish, and Frank also was taking me to Celtic games as a young laddie as well, and he would drive in, and Frank was a quintessentially Moss End man, but there was I look back to it, and I think to the men, that they'd go up and they would take the plate and get in with the plate and do all the work in the parish. When there was maybe 15 of them, and they were outstanding human beings, and everybody, Frank Greer, used to serve an altar as well, Patton,
John Patton,
John Payton and all that. They were all great men, you know, and everybody looked up to them. And at the time, you know, if you look at the Knights of St Columba, you had the St Vincent de Paul, which the Legion of Mary. I mean, that's another thing as well. When you look at our family backgrounds, you take us out of this, you take us out of Scotland, the Irish Catholic diaspora out of Scotland, you lose HCPT, you the very Holy Family. All these Catholic parishes would disappear. You'd have no Celtic, obviously. You would have no Hibs. You would have no Legion of Mary. All these organisations came from Ireland, but particularly organisations that cared for the poor, like St Vincent de Paul and the Legion of Mary. People sneer at the organisations a wee bit when they don't realise that the good work that they've done. And you've also got, I know I'm jumping from one thing to another here, guys.
This is an open podcast. We're happy to Brian can chip in, I can chip in, whatever.
Good. But I'm thinking about something else as well. Is that, that in Scotland, I mean, I'm not just, I'm looking at some of the research I've done myself here. And there's the organisation like St Vincent de Paul, all right, I mean, people have been, to an extent, have become secularised. But St Vincent de Paul, Legion of Mary, and these types of church organisations, and the Knights of St Columba and the Hibernians and all organisations, the Hibernians are gone now. The Knights of St Columba are still a significant organisation. Like them or no, buy into conspiracy theories, which are an absolute nonsense. Comparing them with the Freemasons.
But it's all. The Knights of St Columba are not Freemasons. That's
not
say,
at all.
That's
How could they be?
That's the answer to Freemasonry in the sense that it's fraternity, unity, charity, and we do a lot of work with the Knights, and they're all great guys. It's a shame we don't have them here in Moss End anymore as such, because they're like kind of like the workers of the church.
Yep,
they're the kind of guys to do the heavy lifting.
Yes, and you'll tend to and that's a problem for the church and all, is the kind of I don't want to sound buying into a culture war thing, but the kind of feminisation, the lack of masculinity.
I can see that
in the church. Absolutely. And that's an issue. Lazy. I mean, there's a lot of different factors for secularisation and all that. I know I'm jumping onto something else here.
What brought you back to your faith? You said that you'd been through a period.
I'd never really. What brought me back?
Maybe that's too deep a question for
No,
you.
no, it's not. I mean, no. You know, I think I try and like. I see you're brought up in a family that's a practicing Catholic family. I mean, everybody, nobody in my house didn't go to mass.
Aye.
People, still my brothers and sisters all go to mass.
Yeah.
No, but nobody's fell by the wayside sort of thing. So see that thing there. So there was times I wasn't going to mass, but never in a sustained.
Yeah.
I tell a lie. When I was at university the first time I went to university, I went to Strathclyde from 1992 to 97, sort of roughly, 91 to 97.
Yeah.
I stopped going to mass, but even then, I would go. But I'm going to. This is going to tell you something here, and all right. I stopped going to mass because I found it easier at that time to buy into a sort of a left wing worldview.
Right.
And I've read stuff since. There's two academics, excuse me, that wrote about Walls and Williams, Irish Catholic Health Disadvantage in Scotland. They wrote the book about 25 years ago. In fact, they were at a conference just recently, last year. I was kind of involved with the conference in Glasgow about the Church of Scotland report, the menace of the Irish race to our Scottish nationality, 1923 was it came out. So they've done a wee bit of work. They've done a wee bit, and they come back to present. They presented a paper at the conference, and one of their arguments is that Catholics in Scotland found it a hell of a lot easier to buy into. The confidence was there to demonstrate an Irish Catholic identity. So they bought into left wing. They found it easier to articulate a leftist identity.
Yeah, definitely.
The problem with that is that I'm a lefty. I'm not really a lefty. I see myself maybe. I'm quite. The way I see myself, maybe it's not a lefty as such, more a working class socialist.
Yeah.
But what I think's happened is so many people maybe bought into that kind of left wing worldview didn't have they were lost. Some of them are lost. Some of them are lost. Others might not have maybe not able to find their way back.
Right.
See, I would never deny. I never went there.
You still believe your faith?
There was never a period in my life I would say I'm an atheist.
Yeah.
Because it was always there for me. But what's happened to me is I stopped drinking about 14 years ago. As well as having to face up to yourself and your feelings and the things you've done wrong, you develop you've got to develop a sense of honesty about how you've ended up doing certain things.
Yeah.
So that's made me think more about my faith as well. Obviously, what I'm doing at university is it's constant with me.
Yeah.
It's like It's like I'm thinking about these questions constantly. So I think you're trying to work out your lad. No, well, why am I Catholic? Because it's right. That's why I'm a Catholic. Because I believe in it.
You've got to ask these questions. You've got to test yourself.
But
daily.
you've got, and at the end of the day, just because at different stages of my life and probably right now, I haven't been able to live up to that, it doesn't invalidate the teachings.
Exactly.
Because I'm not a kind of perfect human being.
But no one is. What's the point, Frank? Well,
That's
we're trying to live to an ideal of the Catholic faith, and various people are at different stages of that.
Aye, and that's the way I see it. Because I can't live up to it or anybody else, you don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, and that's what too many people have done. And what's happened is they're drowning now, and they're people's rootless. They've not got anything to believe. I just think I look at the way the world is now, and there's good things about the world and there's bad. I'm not saying everything's all bad, but people are left at the moment, I think, and they've got they're not rooted into any belief system. I say it's not very well saying about children. We're not wanting to get them baptised. I'll just let them make up their own mind. No, you wouldn't let them make up their own mind. The telly will make up their mind.
Exactly.
Facebook will make up their mind, and all these different influences.
I don't quite understand that whole concept of not baptising your child right away. It's like, if you're a Catholic, you make decisions on behalf of your children for lots of things. And the
Well,
most
it's not about formation.
Well, the most
It's not
important
just-
thing, it's the remission of original sin. So, like, you're talking about, taking a child for inoculation. They're almost akin to anti-vaxxers. You know what I mean? Like,
Aye.
your a baptism is a vaccination, but it's a remission of original sin. It's an act of good for that child. And if they don't believe in it, well, what difference does it make?
See, the problem is so many people have got a kind of rudimentary understanding of faith, and no, it's not. You need. I think if you don't have these, you need a belief system that's no. How am I trying to say here? It's like me. People disagree with the church because the church doesn't agree with A, B, C, and D. No. What if, I mean, at different stages of my life, so you're expecting the church to change to suit you all the time. But no, and I just feel it's a lot easier for people. It's a lot more honest, or it's a better way of living to admit, no, I can't live up to it.
Yeah.
I can try and live up to your faith as well as you can, but at the end of the day, because you can't live up to it, doesn't invalidate the teachings, and it's better always taking the easy option. Doesn't work?
Yeah. It's because
It didn't work for me.
That's why I use the word practicing Catholic. We're practicing Catholics. We're not Catholics who are perfect by any means, but we're practicing to get to that. It's a journey of life.
Aye,
You know?
it is, and this is the thing. It's people taking the easy option.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, it's just lying in my bed and a Sunday morning, get out the habit of going to chapel and all that. And there's so many people do that. And there's so many people that, I'm going to get back. And I'm like, you better hurry up then.
Yeah, no,
You seriously? You
I
know what I
think
mean?
it's a
Leaving it then.
It's a complex issue in the sense that people do feel once they leave it a bit of time, they think they're going to be judged, or they think people are going to look at them. To be honest, and I can say it's hand in my heart, no one has ever questioned me going to a church, or no one's ever said, I go to a lot of churches because I'm travel about as well, not just Moss End.
Aye.
But you never get anybody saying to you, who are you, why are you here, how long have you been here? People get their own thing, their own worries in life, their own prayers to deal with.
Exactly.
So they're not going to sit and look, there's such and such, there's such
You'll
and such.
get
over
judged
there.
a hell of a lot more outside the church
You do.
than what you do. And this is what people's got, the goody goodies. I'm like, the goody goodies? My goody goodies?
I'm not saying any goody goodies, keep it.
Start pointing about in the church.
But Ryan, this is the issue is people have got a perception.
Yeah.
And that perception has become a reality for too many people who make decisions based on a misperception of what the church is like. And a lot of you students, because they've lost touch and they're going about their wee. I just feel you need a good grounding in life. And when people lost that grounding, I'll tell you a story, right? Somebody I know person I knew up in Aberdeen, a guy died up there, a friend up there, obviously no Catholics or anything like that, but instead of having a funeral service, they maybe had some sort of thing in a crematorium. They did have something in a crematorium, and they get the guy's ashes made into frisbees and lodged these frisbees, fly high. But and I know people say, Frank, people maybe sitting arguing and say, no, but you believe in that such as that. That's all just made up stuff and all.
Yeah.
But no, I don't actually see it that way.
Yeah.
I see that as reaching back through the centuries.
Of course.
What we believe in, right back to Christ, if you like.
That's it.
And I believe that people need, it's when people start to, it's losing faith that things are, no. That's how you, I mean, it's a wee bit like, right, I remember arguing with somebody about this at uni a wee back, and it was about, and I'm right into black music, jazz music, soul music and that.
Yeah.
But I remember arguing with somebody, a white person, Caucasian, to use the correct terminology, a wee back, and I get on about the what is it, the nuclear family structure and all that.
Yeah.
And it's all this a type of leftism that just bores me to death. It's just terrible. You know what I mean? Trying to defend. No, I mean the balance of probabilities. Kids are getting brought up with a mammy, a daddy. It's simple. No,
absolutely,
trying. No, we know that it's not always possible.
Life's not
and kids
perfect.
No, and things are going to go wrong, and families are going to split up and all that. But why has it become so outrageously right wing to say Waynes are better getting brought up by a mum and dad? They are.
Yeah.
Look at the African American family structure in the US.
Yeah.
In the 1960s, something like 75% of black kids were brought up with a mother and a father.
Yeah.
Right? Look at it. I think it's as low as 15% now.
Absent fathers. It's all absent fathers.
Now, and it's all absent fathers. Now, and I've spent nearly 30 years working with young people. Now, nobody, I have to see it myself. Nobody can tell me, no, I'm generalising a wee bit, but I'm not generalising that much to say some of the real issues that you find come down to that there's no father there.
I mean, that touches into your point about the church and these great figures, these great men you look up to. You know, look back here at all like John Patton and Frank Greer and, you know, Frank McCann and all that. You know, you need a male role model. You do need a male role model in your life.
See if it's not there.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I see. You know, I'm gonna, and I need to watch what I'm saying because I still work, and I'm not, and I need to watch what I'm saying. But I mean, it's like kids that's get gender dysphoria. I mean, I've worked with them for 30 years now.
Yeah.
I love them. I love them. But you know, it's
that's the Catholic answer. You don't need to go beyond that.
You
love people. You love people, and you give them.
I try my best.
And that's the issue with the whole thing. Going back to the whole gender identity thing that was tried to be lowered to 16. You know, at 16 years of age, you don't know what you are. You know, and you think, you know, people have been forced into these destructive surgeries. You know, that change their entire anatomy for life. That's been made a decision at 16. You know, I mean, yeah, there are genuine cases of genuine dysphoria, but
of course there is.
There are, but you know, I think what you're touching upon, I think what we've seen in our time with bioethics studies and other things is you could classify it as a kind of social contagion, in the sense that people are picking up this fad and going with it.
14 and 15 and 16, you don't know what you want to be.
I know.
Or what you want to do, or how you're going to relate to the world. I mean, it's a wee bit like, give votes to 16-year-olds. I'm like, I didn't know what, should have given me the vote till I was 40.
Yeah,
well, exactly. But it's you know, serious, there's things like that, and it's like, it's a dead, delicate subject.
Absolutely.
You know,
you're dealing with individuals, you're dealing with humans, you're dealing with their families and all their kind of things, and I think the church is trying to balance that in a way.
I think the church is bang on in this.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's something absolutely. You know, again, you know, I've worked with these kids. I love them. I mean, I genuinely love them. I would have done anything for them in all the different schools I've worked in. But you're not going to. I refuse point blank. You're not going to force me into that.
It's labels, you know. It's labels.
Labeling theories.
Labels. I mean, why would I label myself anything, you know, other than identify as a Catholic?
Aye.
I don't see you as Frank the alcoholic. I don't see you as Tracy the transgender. Our identity and our dignity as humans comes from being children of God.
It doesn't even come for your sexuality anyway. But this is the problem. This is what's happening, and it's and the whole thing. We know there's poisonous people coming from all different sections of society, and that people commit with horrible things. But you know, some of the stuff that's coming from the kind of transgender lobby, if you like, for the more extreme elements, and that's poison.
Oh yeah,
you know, and you know, what's happened is people are, no matter what people are scared to turn around and say, no, I disagree with that.
It's cancel culture, in the sense that you can't have an open debate about anything. You know, you can't have a different view, and we all come from a position of a hope, certainly, and you've expressed that love. You know, you care for other people, you want the best for other people, and that's the Catholic view. But it's portrayed as being something that's hateful when it's not. Right,
and what you just said there, you coming from a position of love. Surely it's a position of love to point out that something is. It's going to harm you in the long run. I'm not saying some people aren't going to transition and not going to have serious mental health problems. I can only speak for my observation of what, and my even anecdote, what I've seen myself is most of these kids are damaged, and they're damaged long before they go into any sort of transitional process.
Yeah.
They've got problems, and the amount of abuse that's took place.
It's terrible, isn't it?
And all these things are all feeding into.
Yeah.
These things are definitely an issue, and also the way that when some schools seem to handle it a wee bit better than other schools as well.
Yeah, that's
You
bad.
know?
I mean, I don't envy teachers nowadays. We didn't have anything. Do you have all that at school?
No, not that I
This
can
is
remember
it,
at
you know,
all.
and now it's
We're talking in the space of 10 years.
really.
Well,
Aye.
well, maybe a bit more. When we
20
were-
years.
Thanks for that.
Sorry, Terry. Maybe more.
Well, but 20 years,
But it's a wee bit like, and this is another thing as well. When speaking to Regina, and when in the Gambia, when they do not have the issues.
Yeah.
Now, some people might say they don't have issues with a lot of it, but
Yeah.
the whole sexuality thing,
Yeah, it's not a thing there.
it's
Maybe.
not a thing there.
But you say
Eh,
that's more because it's more restricted in a kind of cultural sense.
well, maybe that's a good thing actually. What I'm trying to say with that is, if we in the West, how dare we think? No, but you're meant to be against colonialism, and Britain shouldn't have done all this. But so what we're going to say now, that it's okay for us to impose our values
Yeah.
on societies that no, and if they don't accept it, they're backward.
Yeah.
Where was think about that? How can it-
Yeah.
No, so that's a form of neo-colonialism. If you're telling people how they should live their lives.
We'll talk about Africa. I think the context is important that you are married to a woman from the Gambia.
Yes.
Give us the background to the whole Project Gambia project. Sorry.
Right, well, in Project Gambia, again, that was, I'm partly, I'm going to have to big him up here because really it's all down to Paul Lafferty.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the talker there and Paul's more practical and kind of consortize. Paul, I stopped drinking 14 years ago in February the 4th, I think it is, February the 4th coming up. And as I say, I was just, all I thought about was myself all the time. So when I stopped drinking, I had to start thinking about. It's very difficult. See, when you stop drinking, stuff that you've maybe repressed all the years, all comes to the surface and all that. Paul Lafferty and I, both of these are into kind of soul and jazz music and all that. Paul had already been working with Mary's Meals. Him and his wife and his daughter Rebecca were doing talks and just going in churches for those who are not from the west of Scotland or the north of Ireland. They were going in chapels doing talks. And Paul said, would you want to help? Because he knew I'd been involved in Soul Nights away back years ago. He said, do you want to try and we'll set up a Mary's Meal. We'll raise money for Mary's Meals and we'll try and build a soup kitchen in Malawi in a place called Mapalatapa. Somewhere in Malawi, I don't know where it is. So we raised, I think we started running Soul Nights in Blantyre, Minders Welfare. We raised about £14,000 to build this feeding kitchen. The feeding kitchen's still going today. It feeds I think it feeds 700 to 800 children every day. It's still running. Well, we were doing that. I don't know how this came. Paul and his wife went on holiday to Gambia.
Right.
With their kids, and they were doing a wee bit of kind of voluntary work. No, when I say they're taking pencils to schools and that type of thing, and Paul came up with the idea. Paul saved my life, by the way, and absolutely no two ways about that. On reflection, he saved my life. But anyway, Paul started going on about we'll set up a charity. No, we'll go to Gambia. We'd raised, I can't remember, but about £1,300 or something like that. Mum will go to Gambia and we'll see if we can find a school. Mary's Meals weren't doing any work in Gambia. He said, Mum will go to Gambia, we'll see if we can find a school. I was like that at the time. I wasn't there right into it, do you know what I mean? I was coming out that politically as well. I had this thing in my head, all that mattered was doing charity work. That's a sticking plaster on a wound, and that'll never change nothing. You need to change the economic structures of society before. All stuff that, and I did believe all that at the time. It's pointless trying to help people in a micro level. It had to be done in a macro level.
Yeah.
Change the system, all that type of stuff. I've changed massively with that, to be honest with you. I think we all need to change ourselves first before we change anything else. But so we went to Gambia, and we went to we didn't know where we were going, what we were going to do. But we went to a couple of schools. They were Muslim schools, and but just it wasn't no harm to the people in the schools, but the schools weren't right. You know, you just get a feeling right away that they were that wasn't going to work with these schools, you know.
Yeah.
And purely by chance we were driving. This is as sure as God. Purely by chance we were driving up by a school. We seen there a school there. We seen the name St John's School for the Deaf. That's how we found the school.
Yeah.
But that must be a Catholic school. So like, we're going there. So we went in, walked in and seen a big statue, St Martin. And we went into the school. We're going to see them. So we just went in and explained who we were. They were shocked. Who's these two white guys? Just appeared out of nowhere, you know. So, but although once we were in the school, we got to realise there was also connections with the school to Ireland, because it was tended to be Irish priests that went to that area and was teaching all the teaching in bulk parishes and all that as well. Catholics are tiny, 3% of the population or something like that, but they're very strong.
Yeah.
Very devout and very devout.
How was going around Gambia? Was it quite generally a safe country?
As I would say, it was quite safe. At the time we went there, the president was a President Jammeh, very authoritarian, and you were getting. There's a lot of stuff goes on there, but you don't mention it. But there was a lot of getting stopped at roadblocks, get out money, and you had to maybe pay bribes to get on. There's a lot of that going on when we first went. He got voted out. He got voted. He did get voted out. Then he kind of disappeared. There was dead bodies found, and there was stuff. There was a lot of bad stuff going on in the country, and this Barrow took over. But the people are unhappy now with Barrow because he's a wee bit no more liberal. But law and order has got worse for he took over. Whereas when Jammeh was in power, there wasn't very much crime because he was quite. You
had some experience of that in Uganda, do you know?
Yeah, so I travelled out to Uganda with Missio Scotland.
Did you?
I think it's about 8 years ago now. And we visited some schools. We actually visited a deaf school as well. It was an incredible experience just to see that completely different culture.
It's incredible.
Yeah, we travelled right across the full country and visited different seminaries. I visited different schools, visited orphanages and things like that.
A big Catholic population in Uganda.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what the numbers are. But we certainly visited a few different Catholic schools, and
it's a huge country.
Yeah, it's a massive country. It's a massive country. And that was fascinating. I mean, this is some of the projects probably similar to what you're doing as well, kind of feeding projects and things. I think I'm right in saying that Project Gambia has now fed or provided over 1 million meals.
We have. I'll go on to that, right? I mean, it's incredible. I mean, if just one day I sat down and went, I'm going to work this out here. I couldn't believe it. That is over 1 million free school dinners we've supplied.
I mean, that's incredible.
That is really, you know. But I mean, as I say, so we found the school, right? So we went into the school, and again, the other schools we went to, we just felt it's not right, and they were maybe going to no rob us, but we're going to get conned into giving them money. And one school went into, they're saying, we've got a feeding programme. Didn't have any feeding programme. They wanted us to give them money. We weren't going to hand money over to MD anyway. We weren't going to do it that way. So we went into a school, and there was a head teacher, Daniel Mendy, very much involved. Catholic school, just we knew right away it was a Catholic school. So we went and we tried to explain who we were, and we're just wondering what the score is. Do you have a school feeding programme? I said, can we see your storehouse? So they took us to the storehouse, and I mean, honest to God, it was like no one of them. You're like, God of Almighty, how different. There was all these 300 kids at school. They had a tube of tomato paste, 1 bag of rice, and a bag of onions to feed 300 kids. And no feeding programme. They fed the kids if there was food there. There wasn't, the kids weren't getting fed, which has a massive effect on attendance, you know. And what makes it even worse is, I suppose, for that school was kids they're all deaf. Kids are all deaf, or other additional support needs. Some of the kids they maybe deafness and other additional support needs. So and if they're not getting fed, it could be chaos.
What is the reason for? You mentioned a deaf school in Uganda. What is there a reason for the deafness there? Is it just a number thing, or is it because the healthcare is not good? Or
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, see, I worked in Calderside Academy in Blantyre for a long time. They've got a deaf school or a deaf department in
Yeah.
it. In Gambia, there isn't it, you know, in this country, they tend to try and integrate additional support in these kids into other schools, you know. There is special, maybe, units in different schools for them. In Gambia, apart from that deaf school, in other schools, it would just be, kids would just go to a local school, sort of thing, you know. But in the St John's School for the Deaf, we went in and we'll try and help you in that.
Yeah.
So what I mean, we spent what we had, we brought the food back. There was enough to keep the school going, believe it or not, for about 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yes, we were like, this is brilliant.
How are you funding this? How does it work? Like, how does Project Gambia sustain itself?
What we were doing at the start, what we started doing right away was asking, we were trying to get money, and we came up with the idea, or Paul Lafferty came up with the idea, we'll ask people to sponsor classrooms for £100. So we started, it was all done via Facebook. Facebook was our kind of, the thing that we chose to try and, because we knew people on Facebook, you know, and I suppose that was the journey, you know, for stopping drinking and all that as well, and getting, it started, so it was a kind of a slog at the start. We started asking people if they sponsored classrooms, and we would get plaques made up, we'd take them out to the school. But can I jump back just a wee bit, just to say, I know it's a bit kind of,
That's the way, well, I'm sure the viewers will understand.
But we went, like we said to the school, we said, look, we went back and got the food, and we were over the moon when we came back. But I don't know how many bags of rice it was, and tomato paste and onions and chicken. We bought stuff. We bought chicken, but we kept it. We got it stored in a warehouse for them, refrigerated so they could get it when they needed it. So, and we went like, we said, look, we'll come back again. We probably didn't think we were going to come back, but like, we'll come back again next year, and we'll come back with more money, and we'll buy more food. And we did, but just when we started getting, you know, raising the kind of, it was a wee bit of a hard slog at the start, but we managed to start, people started sponsoring classrooms.
Yeah.
You know, in their mothers or their father, or in loving memory of whoever. Back a year later, and we had enough food, we'd raised enough money. What we were doing is getting the money, going over there, and making the purchases and that, and we keep an arrangement with a particular warehouse that we could store, because they didn't have fridges or anything like that at the time.
Yeah.
They have now, because we got so we got the refrigerate, we got the stuff refrigerated that we couldn't take straight to the school, and I think we came back with enough food we bought enough food to keep the school going for 6 months.
Yeah.
While we were doing all this, the school roll was going up slightly as well. I don't know what we did, but we claimed the responsibility for it. It was down to us, the school roll was going up.
But that could have taken the wrong way, Frank, to be honest.
I know. So I know. So then it was, we were kind of up and running, and for the next couple of years, we were able to supply the full school feeding programme for St John's School for the Deaf.
Right.
Out the blue, I can't even remember now how we done this. We went to see, do you remember Father, was on St Pat's?
Towie, was it?
Father Towie.
No, Father Ray, not Father Towie.
Father, great Irishman, mailman.
You know his name, Father Sweeney.
Father Sweeney, Eamon Sweeney, played the Gaelic football and that.
Yeah.
Father Eamon Sweeney. But I don't know how this came about. We'd met him somewhere, and we just said, would you let us come in, do a collection? And he said, aye.
Well, great.
So we get in, and great collection. This is the first time we get in a chapel. Really good, really good collection. Then Father Towie. And that must have came about through Aidan and Rebecca.
Yeah,
because Aidan was a parishioner down there. Father Towie, and the two of them are pals. Yeah. Father Towie, Father Sweeney. So they started kind of having a wee competition. We'll raise more money than St Pat's and Coatbridge, and we'll raise more money in St John the Baptist. So they let us in, and Father Towie was brilliant to us, as was Father Sweeney. Then I don't know how we done it. I think Aidan and Rebecca went out and started chatting doors, and I think Aidan had worked out a wee tactic where we'll just let Rebecca go to the door herself. She'll have a wee lass at a time. Can I come in there? And it was Mary and Clyde Priest were like, come on in, I'll see if we can help you in that. So we were getting into parishes that way. We were doing really, really well. and we got a wee bit of Episcopal support, if you like, with John Keenan.
Yeah.
He was really brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He was getting Aidan and Rebecca go down during Lent and go around different parishes with him and that. So things were going great right up to the lockdown. The lockdown just hammered us. But before the lockdown, we ended up helping St John's School for the Deaf. We started helping a massive school over at a place called what was the name of that? Dar Salami.
Right.
St Patrick's Lower Basic School, which taught about 700 or 800 kids. And they had a nursery school, St Joseph's, next there. And that's where I met Regina.
Right.
In 2019, she was teaching in St Patrick's. Then Regina, then we're just friends and developed for there. Then Regina moved to Presentation. She worked about 3 or 4 different schools.
You married Regina in Gambia?
I did, aye.
What was that like for the experience?
That was amazing, absolutely amazing. We couldn't get married in the chapel because I'd been married before. But we had about 5 or 6 priests at the wedding. It was absolutely... And we get back to the village. Regina's... The respect she's got is unbelievable. She virtually... A wee bit like you used to. In terms of... She was a school...
I don't know about that, Frank. I think we were infamous than anything else, but anyway, let's...
We used to somewhat. But see, in terms of the amount of work she does, I mean, she's just a great human, a great individual. An inspiring individual. I mean, she ran the parish, was the parish secretary, ran the choir, ran the lectures, ran the annual pilgrimage. Pilgrimage, Maria, I can't remember how to pronounce it, but Our Lady's meant to have appeared somewhere in the Gambia. She was involved in all these types of things, you know.
She's now moved over here now with you now and her daughter. So how is she settling into life in
great,
Scotland?
loving holy family. Regina's reading at masses now on a Tuesday. She's been to go and see. She was desperate to get involved in the church, and I was desperate to get involved as well, because I knew the transition would be a lot easier.
This is the thing, like, you know, you talk about the Catholic faith. You know, looking around now, and we were in the past. I'm from Lithuanian descent. My grandmother's Lithuanian. You're from Irish descent. You look at the parish structure here now, and it really is a melting pot of all cultures, and there's no distinction. You know,
I totally agree with you.
This tension we're seeing just now in society about refugees and immigrants, and there's a unity here.
Yeah,
it's a universal church, Catholic.
100%.
Yeah, you see Filipinos, you see Africans.
I worked at St Andrews, St Bryson. It's like a League of Nations. I see that people don't know what I'm getting at now, because what's the League of Nations? But it's such a... Catholic schools are full of Africans and Indians and people from, you know, in different parts of the world. You know, Polish, Lithuanian, Ukrainians.
I wouldn't meet these people if it wasn't for the church.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
I mean, there's a now, I've got a Polish priest here now, Father Christoph, and the Polish community here. You've met a lot more Polish people. I see a lot of Filipinos. I would never have never engaged in the Filipino community for no reason or the other, but just you see them up front here, and that's the beautiful thing about this church, this parish. But obviously, it's a replicated story across.
I mean, this parish, when you think about it, the history of this parish is unbelievable. When you think this was the first parish, and this, you know, I mean, I don't know about Carfin, would have been
a wee bit older, but this area here, certainly Bellshill, Moss End, Hollowtown, it was. Well,
it was only when everybody came to Moss End. But that's that. I mean, my mum used to hear my dad saying about years ago. I mean, they talked about the 40s probably, about, you know, people pouring their rain and old women walking up the Calder Road to go to mass and all that. So there was a right kind of, but see, there was a loyalty to your parish. That's sad in all the way. That's my dad's life. I mean, my dad's an example, I think, right? My dad took the choir for years in Moss End. His life, my dad's life revolved, he sung in the clubs and all that as well. His life revolved round about this parish.
Same as us.
It is, yeah. I mean, that's it.
The parish was home. Everything. Moss End, it wasn't Moss End, it was Moss End RC.
Yeah.
No, there was a distinction there.
Yeah.
You know, Moss End, and even I remember you would come out to mass, there used to be Tony's Corner.
I don't know.
Right? And you come out to mass, there'd be maybe 40 men standing. And I remember my dad would say that they fought in the war and they done this and they were all men that would have grew up in hard times when there would have been a lot of discrimination still on the go in the 30s and all that, and they would have been born then, and by the time in the early 60s or the 60s they would all be 30 and 35 and you know, and they would have had a hard life, but it was a loyalty to the parish.
I mean, that's the thing. People don't understand that loyalty still exists, especially here. It's inculcated to everyone. I think, you know, for me, this is the most important part of my life. You know, we've grown up here. Me and Brian have grown up here. We've grown up here 30 years. Our parents have made the sacraments here. I've made all my sacraments here. I now work here. I've worked here for 10 years. I've worked for the parish for 10 years. People can't really understand how much it means to you.
It's the centre of your life. It's all your life from the day you were born. I mean, in the school there, I'm thinking Holy Family School. I'm the fourth generation
to go to that school.
To have gone to that school, and it's that kind of, you know, continuity throughout time here. But it's the whole parish, the school, it's all that kind of central part of your life. It's always there. And
it's like this idea of passing on the torch. I feel great responsibility for it. You know, I mean, the wider church is the wider church. We can't control aspects of that, but you can control how the parish works. You can be involved in the parish. And I think your example, and that's why these people got you in as well, is you're a parishioner, and you could call you an ordinary parishioner, but you're actually an extraordinary parishioner because, you know, I mean, it's true. We have a parish full of amazing people. Some have passed on, but, you know, you're doing things in your own way when easily you could have turned your back on the faith in different scenarios.
Turning your back, and it didn't do me any good any time I tried to. You know, what's missing, I think, is the way you used to feel and the way I feel about Moss End. I just think, I look at people and I think, it was your grandparents and great-grandparents that built that parish up there. And you can't be bored going to mass.
The sad thing is, you know, I mean, I don't think there's any risk for Moss End just now. I mean, the reality is that the diocese will be having mass closures. And the people will be watching this just now who have similar feelings about their own parish, and if they're not attending their parish or they're going elsewhere or whatever, they don't like a priest or whatever.
Well, look at St. Gerard's.
I mean, I feel
it's terrible.
I feel sad for people at St. Gerard's. They built that parish up. They were with it for 50 years, and they built a real community there. But sadly, they were let down by people who refused to go.
That's
the 100%. Same voices will come back out and they would work on social media and say, this is a disgrace, this is terrible.
Absolutely.
But they wouldn't put their money in their mouth.
And I mean, the whole thing what happened was old inner city parishes, if you like, you want to use that term, and I don't mean Moss End's an inner city parish, but post-famine parishes that were built in Scotland. The kind of old, the
Pugin types, you know.
The Pugin types, that's exactly what I mean. And obviously, there was maybe an element of triumphalism, maybe but there would have been, looking at it historically, probably there was a bit of triumphalism post-1945, we're building new parishes all over the place and that. And maybe we jumped the gun a wee bit.
I think so.
You know, and maybe we shouldn't have built, there's a lot of parishes now and you think, you know.
And they built them in the most ugliest ways.
Don't
mention any parishes.
No, you don't
think that helps. I really don't think that helps.
It's not, you know, and no, you look about you. Actually, another reason why you say, "Well, thank God I've got Moss End Holy Family." When you look at some, and I'm not going to mention any of them.
Oh no!
But you're like,
you go some places, you think, does this architecture elevate my soul, my mind to the truth and reality of what I'm receiving here? No, it doesn't. No. It tells me that the people who built that, I mean, maybe they had financial problems. I don't think so though. But because some of them are in very affluent areas. Let's be honest. You look at compared to what we've got here. You look at the church next door. And this was built by the pennies of the poor.
Absolutely.
You know, they had nothing.
My dad said many a time. He said every week we'd a penny. And a penny went to every week. Everybody paid their penny. And this is the
influence of this left wing thing you spoke about earlier on. This Marxism thing where it's anti-beauty.
Of course it is.
Because what they see is they see this beauty in the church. They see this fantastic architecture and marble and lovely statues and carved woods, and they say, "How dare you have that when there's people who are poor?" It was built by the poor as a home for God and for the poor to access.
That is what but see the arguments can be. I mean, if you're having it's this idea now, Look, why don't they say laugh the riches the back?
It's reductive.
That's juvenile, pathetic, just drivel. They types of arguments. That's no. They don't. It's like that's not going to. There's other ways to solve the problems.
The people I tend to hear say that are people who are generally middle class. They are people who are generally have a good quality of life, and they have their own luxuries. So why? The question you should ask them first of all is, why don't you start with yourself first?
Exactly.
Why don't you sell everything you've got?
No.
Why don't you go and help the poor?
But see, a lot of that's got. See, I look at myself, right, and you know, and I've been to university, and I'm still at university. I've spent years in higher education now, but I don't know. I'm for the working class.
Yeah.
I identify with the community that I come from.
Yeah.
I identify with the same type of the people. I identify with people that go to mass.
What's the thing?
I identify with people that work in warehouses.
Exactly,
I don't identify with the kind of liberal left lovey-doveys who are wealthy, but they preach to working class people and try and tell them how they should live their lives.
Yeah, you're correct with that. That's the thing. This parish is, in a sense, unpretentious in the way that there's people here with fantastic degrees, fantastic jobs. Some people don't have any degrees, don't have any jobs. But yeah, it doesn't matter because we come here as Catholics together to worship the one God, receive communion, be in communion together with each other. And, to quote Billy McNeil, Billy, the famous parishioner from here as well, of course, so he was talking about Celtic being like some fairy tale aspect. There's a fairy tale aspect about Moss End. There's something about Moss End which I see as having a clear divine providence in it, and it's the people involved in it, the vocations that's come from it. And we can talk about Mother Angeline as well, because we've got a parish. There's not many parishes in Britain, and even in Ireland as well, or even in some parts of Europe, that's got a former parishioner who's on track to sainthood.
I know. And the history.
That's insane.
And the history behind that, Mother Angela.
And you have a connection with that as well. You've got the connection with, and we both do, with Cluno.
No.
Yeah, so I've got a family history with Cluno as well.
Have you?
Background, we actually think that we're related to Mother Angeline. Going way back, because we go back to Taggarts in Cluno in Upper Back.
But we're related to Taggarts as well.
So there might be a connection with Frank as well.
Maybe we should do the next follow-up DNA
Honest to
result.
God, we're related to Taggarts as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yep. So it's one of those things I need to just do a lot more research in.
One just Patsy Taggart died, not just a lot. We're related to them as well.
Yeah, this is going way
My
back.
My cousin Maria would know because she's into a wee bit of genealogy.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I'm trying to do. That you've got that connection with Clonos and Brian as well. What I've been trying to do with the Mother Angeline story is connect that, join those parishes up together. And my daddy was saying,
I love it. I love the idea.
It does. It's a great
but
connection.
Do you know my cousin Maria's does a wee bit of genealogy, and she's in Clono and Drumora, where we come from, and they found out their genealogy group. I think it's come from St Patrick's Clono Chapel. She's found out the amount of people from Clono Parish who went to Blantyre is really, really high. They went.
Interesting.
But you'll also find that, so you talk about Glasgow people, Donegal, there's that thing about Glasgow people all come from, well, don't all come from Donegal, but you know what I mean, there is a link. There's a lot of Donegal people went to Glasgow. There's a lot of people from Tyrone and Armagh came to that Lanarkshire.
Yeah. It's more Ulster, you get that kind of feeling, don't you?
There's absolutely.
No, definitely that's there. But
it's more than Ulster.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to connect that. We've actually had great success with the statue, which was amazing. How we raised that so quickly. There's so many generous parishioners here. That you just, in this parish, you just need to say, we're doing a fundraiser. And you don't need to worry about it because the money comes.
No.
We know we're not in a rich area, but the money comes.
And you're right.
It's not rich, but they still give. That spirit of generosity still exists here.
But that's that same spirit going right back to even the founding of the church here. It's the pennies of the poor. Everyone gave what they had because they want to do the best for God.
If you look at that statue now, that's become a beacon of a reminder, not just of Mother Angela, but also the care for the elderly and the aged, her legacy. And it's brought people from America to come here. It's brought nuns. How many nuns have came now?
I've lost count now.
So they're coming here. It's reinvigorated in the sense the parish's self-identity. We've always been a proud parish, I would think. People are proud to be Moss Enders, proud to be. But I think it's reinvigorated it more to realise we have such a legacy to carry on here with saints and scholars. I mean, you think of Clarence Gallagher, for example.
That's right.
You know, I mean, Clarence was tipped to be the Archbishop of St Andrews in Edinburgh, and then Keith O'Brien got it, and the rest is history. But but he was an intellect. He was a Jesuit, a towering intellect, and he came from a normal working class family in Blackwood's Crescent.
Well, my dad's the man that buried my dad, to use that terminology. He was the head of the Jesuits in Glasgow. It was my dad's cousin, working class family, grew up in Adamson Street, you know. And it's a wee bit like, if you look, and you know, and it's, nostalgia's a wonderful thing, and it's maybe not really all the time, but I just find it's. I remember we stayed in the main street, and I remember at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, every second house, Stewart Street, Adamson Street, up the Calder Road, Blackwood's Crescent in particular, was always a major big Catholic population down there on Urbison Drive, streaming up the Calder Road to go to Mass.
It's that's the nostalgia is a good thing, but it has to be impetus to continue on. Because you know, it's what's that quote about tradition is not the worship of ashes, it's more it's fanning the flames of the tradition, it's keeping it going.
Keeping it going.
You know, that thing. I think it's really important that we do that. I think Father Christos carried that on in the sense of his idea of processions, and
I like that.
He's brought that kind of in, and it's a Polish influence, which is good. Again, another rich tapestry to our history. That processions, you know, the great Easter traditions that come in, blessing things.
I see. When I was over in Gambia there with Paul, I got up. I mean, Mass is at 7 o'clock in Regina's Village. Back, by the way, 7 o'clock. But there's an immigration story there as well, because they all came from a place called Casamance in Senegal. Regina's grandfather, so, and they sort of started that village, and they built the church, which is a fair-sized church. So there's a story there, a backstory there as well about immigration coming from different areas and all that. But I went to Mass here at 7 o'clock, and what a welcome I got. Our mum didn't know I was coming, and they're a family of teachers going back. You know, so that they're kind of they're every parish has got people. I was talking about the men years ago that kind of you looked up to because they kind of were the backbone of the parish. I think it's the same for her family there as well, you know. But I look at the way, and I'm like, people say, they're all backward in Africa, and I'm like, right, I wonder if they're happier than how people are hugely distorted ideas about identity, sexuality, all these things that weren't an issue a few years ago. Not by them, there was always transvestites. There was, seriously, there always was people. But what's happened now is that society can have so many eccentrics. I'm an eccentric. I was an eccentric. Somebody that
you don't say that.
See if somebody was away for the norm that was different, you know, and I know when I was younger, I would have found, if everybody was going to Mass, I'd probably find that I'm the type that would find a reason I'm not going or something like that.
A contrarian, you would say you were.
There is definitely an element of that to my character, and I know there is. But you know, I look at society can have so many eccentrics or contrarians, but see if everybody acts like that, it just falls apart.
Yeah, it's chaos.
And the problem we've got now is that these are getting held up as ideal types when they're no. You know, and
I think you're seeing that though. I think you're seeing more now in society. This certainly the figures bear out the rise in Gen Z generation returning to aspects of faith.
There is, and that's another thing as well. It gets me right about, you know, and I'm going like I'm a left wing socialist, and I probably at the same time
I don't know what I am.
I don't know what but neither do I. But do you know something? I want tradition.
I think you can say you're a Catholic. I'm a Catholic voter. That's how I vote.
But I love. See, like Latin Mass. I've never been to Latin Mass in my life. I know I would love it. I just know I would love it,
Frank,
because I like things. It's not.
It's funny, like
that's been 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago.
It's funny, like you're tapping into that. You know, we got a lot of stick from priests for promoting the Latin Mass. I wouldn't even say we heavily promoted it.
I wouldn't say he's
no, we don't. Like
we went to one. We filmed a Latin Mass.
I noticed things like that. I wouldn't say he's a heavily.
I do agree with what you're touching upon. The tradition, the idea of something that's been passed down for a reason is beautiful and it resonates with people. And I'm not a die-hard Latin Mass supporter. But I agree with it. I think it should be allowed. I think Pope Leo. I think Pope Leo will reverse what Francis kind of clamped down on a wee bit, because at the end of the day, there's bigger issues. You know.
I mean, the whole thing about it. No, it's like I says things that I go to mass. I go like that. If I was a wee boy, and I've always went like, what did they take away the railings for? The railings were beautiful.
I love the railings.
But see, Moss, can you remember? I mean,
they will still have some parts of them.
We've got the gates. We've still got the gates here.
Eh?
We've got the gates. I think they're in a cupboard through there. We've still got them.
I mean, it was. I look back on that. It was
well, the good
beautiful.
Thing, the good thing
why
about
the
Polish guys
that annoy me?
Oh yeah.
And I think, why was there a need to do that?
It's basically. It was
I know what the need. I know the need was. I'm saying that. I'm rhetorically saying that.
I know
why they done it.
The need was it to try and change the theology by changing the way that the church layout was. But the idea now is that we have this Polish community here, and they'll kneel down for communion, and they don't have a rail. Aye. So one of the talks is, maybe it's more a private discussion we're having, but one of the talks is, could that be restored in some way, because it's got a practical function, and I also think in terms of architecturally, it speaks to the sanctuaries being that element of
sacred,
separate, and
sacred.
And then when you're receiving communion, it helps those who wish to kneel. You don't have to kneel, but it helps those who wish to kneel. I do have a particular bugbear about that. People probably see me kneeling down at mass for communion. They probably do, and it looks probably distinctly odd. And I think it probably does look distinctly odd. Why do I do it? Because I believe in the Eucharist. I believe in Christ. I believe He is in the Eucharist, and I believe that if it was good enough for my ancestors to kneel down, and even though they're infirm and they were old, it was good enough for Pope John Paul II, who was bent, double broken with Parkinson's, to kneel down and take that on his tongue. Who am I to not do that as well?
Yep.
So I think why I do that, I do it very intentionally. Some people will say, "Look at that pious fool! Look at that guy trying to get attention."
I know that.
You get that mockery maybe, and you know what? I don't care, because it's about how I give my respect to God in the Eucharist. And and I'll tell you what, actually, I used to watch a girl here, Claire won't mind, Claire Docherty, Johnny Dock's daughter. She, when I was serving the Mass here, she used to go down on her knees. And the question I always asked a young boy was, why is she doing that? What does she believe she's receiving is more important than someone who's just walking and standing away? I know people talk about postures not being important and being what's in the heart, but body language is important. Body language transmits.
Well, we do that anyway. I mean, I don't think anyone would say, well, you're not going to get into a church. You genuflect immediately.
Yeah.
You know, you bow. All these things are still there. So what's the difference then if you want to receive communion?
And see that type of action, going down to your knees to take communion, that should be seen, no isolated, it should be seen as an action, and it's saying, right, it doesn't need to be referenced by what other people think. Can I tell you something as well? I'm just thinking about this, talking about this here now. I go up for a blessing when I go to Mass, and I've got myself into a routine of doing it all the time because I can't go to communion. Regina, I know it breaks her heart that she can't go to communion. Now, because she's married to me, she got married in a civil ceremony. But I know the type of human being she is. I mean, we say the rosary in the house. But Regina says morning prayers, Divine Mercy, the Angelus prayers at 12. No, maybe 5 or 6. And Rebecca as well. And I really admire their faith so much.
And this is
I admire it. I just think it's fantastic.
That's a tremendous cross for her, a cross for you as well as a Catholic. You can't have that full communion. But in the sense, though, it's good for your soul in the sense that you have that spiritual benefit of recognising that you are putting the church's teaching first with your obedience and your trust in that, and it's ultimately trusting God as well. And you're saying, look, I can't take this just now for whatever reason. I've been in situations I can't take communion myself sometimes, so like, I go to confession. The benefit of not taking a sacrilegious communion is more important than anything, I think.
Consciously making the decision instead of just winging it and just...
Because you see people, you see people who just don't have any care. Like, I'm not judging anybody.
I know you're not, but I know what you mean. It's a flippant sort of a.
It's like,
I'm just going to go to communion.
I've heard that before. Like, some people I know who don't go to mass, don't believe.
That's what I mean.
They turn up and they go to communion. It's like, sorry, that is the bread of life. That is Jesus Christ, body, blood, soul, and divinity. You are receiving. But that's just flippantly.
It's been lost to too many people, and. Despite the way I lived my life at certain stages, I never stopped praying. I've always prayed every night when I went to bed. But now, I would say over the last 14 years, my prayer life's a million times better. And, I say the rosary, so many times a day. I say it, and now driving, I just say the rosary.
It's brilliant.
It does me the world of good. For me, I see it as a discipline. And it's helped me going to the gym. I go to the gym. I got up at 4:30. I do 45 minutes in the bike in the house. I'm in the gym for 6 o'clock.
Wow.
So I say the rosary in the morning when I'm on the gym. When I'm on the bike in the house, that's my first rosary. I go into the gym and I try and say at least another rosary.
Impressive.
I mean, so it's 50 Hail Marys and 50 Hail Marys. I would try and say that. No, say it again and I'm going to work. Driving to East Kilbride to St Andrews in Surprise. Great school I work in, by the way. The RE teachers are just outstanding in that school. I would say it again. I would say it again at night when I go on the bike again at night. But that's a great school. I've got to say that to you. Great Father Colm Martin.
Young guy. I think the same age as us. I think we're more or less.
More or less, I think so. Yeah.
But no, look, we're very blessed. I'm going to. Where's that quick fire stuff going over there? Try to grab it. I'm going to end. Or we do a wee rapid because you're talking about your prayer habits. We end every podcast with a quick fire round of Catholic questions. It's a minute and we'll get the cards. I'll go get the card just now.
Try to squash through it.
I'll try and squash through. No, it's been absolutely. It's been fascinating talk to Frank because we actually spoke for 5 hours more. Oh. What time is it?
Oh my God, it's 9:30.
Is it?
9:20. I can't even believe it's that time already. But one of the things you're going to say is that you end up.
Well, if any viewers are still listening or still on with us, then. So these are random questions, and you can ask them as honest as you can. And are you happy to go for a round of Catholic quickfire?
Of course.
Go for it. So
you have 1 minute, so we'll flip the timer.
Favourite thing about church as a kid?
Favourite thing for me would be going with my parents.
What's the most random place you've said a Hail Mary?
Constantly in the football.
What do you thank God for the most?
Life.
If you were a saint, who would you...
Gratitude.
Right, okay. If you were a saint, who would you be patron saint of?
Lost causes.
Oh, you never lost, Frank. Who is your confirmation saint?
Peter.
Great. And who would be a saint you would take on holiday?
Thomas Aquinas, without a doubt.
You would chant a lot for that one.
Oh, overdose material.
So you ever been told off in church as a child? Or an adult? Maybe Regina told you off.
Yes, I have been told off. My parents probably.
When you go to confession, do you go behind the screen or face to face? What's your preference?
Behind the screen.
Great. What's the one tradition that the Catholic Church will never give up?
Truth.
And you're out of time.
And we're out of time. So well done, Frank, for those questions. That was really good. And
did it go all right? You think?
It did, I enjoyed it.
One of the things I thought we were going to talk about, it just never happened.
Well, listen, that's the beauty of a podcast. It's free flowing.
Aye, very much so.
It's different, and we really appreciate the work you do with Project Gambia. We encourage anyone who's listening to certainly help support that as much as they can.
Guys, thanks.
And wish you and Regina and the family well over here in Moss End. So
brilliant. Thank you.
Especially it's his first winter, isn't it? I think so.
Aye, that's it. Aye,
so good luck with that.
Got to get used to the
enjoying the cold weather and the rain.
Aye, I think it's a wee bit. I think it's like because this wee period we went through. If I come back, it's just rain constantly. So I think they're a wee bit. It's through them a wee bit. Rebecca's she's joined the judo club, so she's enjoying that. She's altar serving, and Regina's involved in the chapel and that. So
fantastic.
It's worked out well for us so far. Please God, it'll continue.
Well, great, Frank. Thanks for
guys,
coming. Then.
No, thank you, guys.